Yo, yo, yo. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Best Practices Show. You're going to love this episode. So in this episode, I interview one of our amazing expert coaches. Her name is Adriana Booth. And we talk about the big trifecta of challenges in a lot of dental offices. You know how this works. Your team is the best asset, most important asset that you'll ever have in dentistry. But it's plagued with challenges. One of them is cliques. You got people that hang around and they don't communicate. And so we're going to talk about cliques. We're also going to talk about low engagement. That's a huge challenge with a lot of dental teams. You have 2 or 3 people that volunteer for everything, and then you got 10 that just don't engage or volunteer for anything. So we're going to talk about what you can do and reasonable suggestions for things that you can implement right away. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the whole meeting rhythm structure. Why a lot of dental team meetings and huddles, they just don't work. You know how this is. You recycle garbage over and over and over again. You start to dread them. Your team members dread them. And so you know what you do? You don't do them anymore because they're so bad. And you know that is not good. So listen in as Adriana and I discuss the 3 biggest challenges that you have in your office and what to do about them. In the meantime, if you need any help, go to actdental.com. We're always here to help you, and keep listening and keep watching the Best Practice Show. We got some great things ahead. Hope you guys enjoy your day. See you soon. All right, so you guys are going to love this. So I'm talking to Adriana Booth, and she is a super badass, an amazing coach here that we have at Act Dental. And if you haven't met Adriana, you have to, because there's so many great things I can say about you. Number one, like, you make me nervous because, like, you don't mess around. And then I also know that you get people to do stuff. So, like, we have a lot of doctors come in our pro coaching program and are like, okay, Adriana, I'll just whip them into shape. And sometimes you say things people don't want to hear for their benefit, like, let's get going. And today, I always like for you to tell a little bit of your story. And then we're going to be talking about things that you guys hate in your team meetings. You guys, you see these cliques that happen and you're like, okay, there's cliques happening in my team and I have 13 people. This is not good. And then you also can see that there's no engagement going on and you're like, okay, how do I get everyone to talk instead of just 2 people to talk? And then also some of you don't do team meetings or huddles because they suck. And so we're going to talk about how they don't suck. But Adriana, I know you. A lot of people in our community know you, but if somebody doesn't know who Adriana Booth is, give us a little background. Who are you?
Oh, good. I am one of the awesome coaches here at ACT. Awesome because Kirk, that's how I got into this. You know, I was a hygienist, still a hygienist, always a hygienist. Mm-hmm. Did some admin, loved all of it, went to a course, listened to Kirk speak, and I was like, wow. Ooh, let's change some stuff. So it really got me on the learning curve. And then years later, I'm lucky enough to work here and work with Kirk. And we have a lot of fun here, but we do work really hard. Yeah. Kirk is a pushover. He's really not. He's definitely got a lot more, he'll make stick it to you. You're not going to like everything Kirk says, but I promise you, if you try it, it'll work. So
I'm never going to be a better human being.
Yeah, so I do. I'm known for telling you the hard stuff, but in a loving way. I'll give you a big hug while I tell you what you're doing wrong. And at the same time, I really want your team behind you. So that's one of the reasons that we're going to talk today about unsucking at your meetings. We want to get you to a place where you look forward to that time with your team. You don't dread it.
Right.
We're not going to sit in our seats the whole time. We're going to get up. We're going to get moving. We're going to get our brains working.
Yeah.
We'll give you some great ideas today.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so here's where we're going to start. So you go out to a lot of practices, and one of the cornerstones in what we teach, and guys, we're going to, if you listen to the Best Practices show enough, you're going to see by osmosis, that's my word of the month, you're going to pick up on a lot of things. We're just going to tell you what to do. Now, the challenge is most people can't do it. They're like, oh, it's a great idea, but they aren't doing it. So like one of the cornerstones of getting change implemented is a team meeting. So tell us, AB, that's what we call her around here, AB, because why don't dentists do meetings?
They do not want to prepare for them. I don't know what to do. What are we going to talk about? How do I get my team to do any of this? I don't have time.
Right.
That's what I hear.
And they also don't want to I don't want to waste any time because, I could be prepping dentistry. And do you agree with this? I think one of the most important things you can do is land the airplane and actually do airplane maintenance on the ground. A lot of dentists try to do it in the air and they're like, oh yeah, I'll do a flyby. And hey, can you guys fix this? All this kind of stuff. But you have to make a statement to your team, like stop. Hey, here's an idea. Your team members would actually like not working on patients and be able to talk to you. Speak to this too. Dentists are the worst at getting other people to read their minds, aren't they?
They are. They really are. And, I've yet to meet a client who doesn't give me the blank stare or just the outright, you are crazy when I say, you need to have a weekly meeting, 2 hours every week. They're like, you know how much I can produce in 2 hours.
Right.
I do. But I know how much more you can produce if you focus on your practice every week.
Yeah.
And you increase your communication and you actually work on the business.
Yeah, it's key. It's key. And then, talk about this too. So, because we chat a lot as a team and then we have a WhatsApp and you guys share things as coaches and the clique thing happens. So some dentists think, oh, can you just get rid of the cliques in my office? Because now talk about why they happen. Why, if you're listening and you have a clique in your office, I want you to listen to what AB has to say because the clique isn't the problem. I'm kind of leading you with the question, but when you have a clique going on, what's really going on?
Oh, the clique is just, oh gosh, I ran into this morning actually. So we'll talk about the present day. And we call it kind of a gang war, and it's by department. And it's the hygienists against the assistants against the admin team. And it's only because we are not communicating well and working on things together. We're allowed to separate and everybody can have their own little gripes and their own little quarrels, but we got to bring it together and we got to mix them up.
Yeah.
It's our job to look over and see, oh, wait, Amy and Stephanie are always whisper. Right. Amy and Stephanie no longer sit together. When we do an exercise, they're not in the same group. Let's split the clique up. And eventually they start finding, oh, I have a lot more in common with this other person. Oh, we're on the same page. We can work together and really get this plane up in the air again. Yeah.
So now I already I'm in a full sweat right now with what you just said, because if you're a dentist, you know how this works. You love people. You love the idea of helping people, but you're a wuss like me. I've been clinically diagnosed as a wuss. So conflict is really hard for me. I want everybody to get along, but the cool thing about having a coach or anyone that can mix things up is, AB, you're very focused on helping people get results, and you often will, in a good way, get into a dentist it's just psyche and go, listen, you got to step up, you got to lead, type of a thing. Tell us about how you do that, because in order to get people to sit nextly, sometimes you got to break up some of the molds that have been there for 20, 30 years, or from the previous dentist that they purchased the practice from, right?
It's true. It's true. And, I think I just really have a keen sense of people, and I try to really get to know them for who they are, what they really want, and help to push them in that direction and remind them that they don't have all the answers. That's not what they show up with. That's not their skill set. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I show up. I'm there to help them see what they can't see, remove the blind spots, and give them a little push.
Yeah.
Give them a little push.
Yeah. But I don't have an agenda. I don't, sometimes dentists feel overwhelmed. They have to talk through all these meetings. So, what do I do with that? I've tried to do these meetings. Sometimes we're recycling garbage and I end up talking the whole time and nobody responds. Why don't they respond? Why don't they respond when I bless them with all my one? Now I'm being kind of facetious because I've been there. Like I'm blessing them with all these great ideas and they're just not responding. What's really going on?
Yeah. What's really going on is you have no team buy-in. Right. What's your cause? What are your core values? What are they following? Where are your priorities?
Yeah.
We have to have some structure and priorities and ownership. If I sit through a meeting, even in our own company, if I sit through a meeting and I have no skin in the game, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
That's why you guys are amazing. And we have now relayed that into our work with our clients is we have priorities. We have goals. We have ownership.
Right.
And that's why we work so well together as a team.
Yeah. But go back to the buy-in thing. So I love the idea. Like there's a certain thing that has to happen. You do have to get buy-in. You're going to be working hard. How do I get buy-in? Let's say I have 13, 14 people on my team or even 20. How do I get buy-in from all these people?
Yeah. What's your purpose? What's your core values?
Yeah.
We've got to give them our mission.
Wait, you're talking my language. Okay. Yeah. Core values. Yeah. I totally understand.
How are they going to show up, Kirk? How do they show up? How are you going to make any decisions in your office?
Right.
We need to define them. Mm-hmm. I want to know exactly what that core value means to you, but I want your team to define it.
Right.
I want to hear what it means to them because they may call BS on it.
They might. Yeah. And you're speaking my language and you were the one that, so I've told this story many times, but you guys, we've talked about core values over and over and over and over again. And I don't think you can talk about them enough. Look at the biggest brands in the country and ask them, is this important? They'll say it's like the most important thing because all roads lead home to core values. So we started working with this coach that nobody liked. He was really good and very intense. And I think you actually liked him.
I really liked him because I like a straight shooter.
Yeah. He came in all guns blazing, like we're going to clean. And everyone was like, oh my gosh. Now, I don't know that there's style points. You get style points for like integrating with a team very well, but he was like, got in my face on the whole core values thing. And I was like, oh, I love this whole idea of core values, and then he's like, where are they? And I was like, well, they're not anywhere. They're in here, karate here. And he's like, shut up. And then one of the things that we did, and you're actually wearing the shirt today, is you created a swell bottle for us. So tell us, how important is it to have them written somewhere, some way, somehow,
It needs to be so ingrained in your brain. And if you're like me and Kirk, our brains, they're in there, but sometimes they just can't hold all the goodness. So I need to have it in front of me. I like to have it on a shirt. I want it on my mug. I want to know it, breathe it, live it. At any time, I want to be able to ask a team member, hey, what are your core values?
Yeah.
Boom. Or they could say, oh, look at my pen or look at my notebook. They're right here.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. It's not in just to make it a pretty shirt or a cool mug. It's so that everywhere we go, it's an example. It's a statement. This is who we are. And this is why we're what we are.
I love it. Now define core values. Like I got these long sentences that we are the wind to everyone's wings or no.
I love these because, I love to challenge core values. And I think it's just because I want them to realize it's not just a sentence. I'm not looking for fanfare. I'm not looking for the fancy. If you say, I have one today, and it was love and compassion. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty deep. I really like this. Yeah. And you're going to really like this because it came from Peter Dawson. It came from them working with Peter Dawson and how he talked about you just have to really love your patients and love on them and be compassionate. And so this doctorate has stayed with him for 20 years. Wow. And so that's one of his core values. I was like, that is so powerful. And he told his team the story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your team will never forget that love and compassion is one of your core values now. Because love it. It's deep in them.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And so when you put these core values together, are you talking about them a lot in your team meetings?
Every team meeting. Every team meeting.
What? Wait, how do I do that?
I don't care if you just call it out. I don't care if you wave a flag with it on it, but you are going to talk about them and you're going to give examples of when they're showing up. Because 6 weeks in, if integrity is one of your core values and you've never given me an example of where it showed up in your practice, I'm going to call you on that.
Yeah.
Is it really a core value? If you can't give me an example in 6 weeks,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
I totally agree. Now, I have this theory. I want you to speak, and you're going to see AB is a straight shooter, so you're going to just, the greater work you do on core values, the less drama you have. I actually want to prove that mathematically. Would you say that's true or not kind of true, somewhat true?
I think it's 100% true.
Why?
And good. I have a good one. I have a client who she kind of wimpied around her core values the first couple of years we worked together. Yeah, this is what I believe. This is it. And I'm like, okay, well, this hygienist, she doesn't fit. But she's really good. She's been here forever. She starts a lot of trouble around here.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. And then one day she said, that's it. I'm letting her go because she doesn't fit the core value. And I'm like, now you finally get core values.
Yeah. And the practice went in the tank right after she left, right?
Oh, totally in the dust for the better. And I mean, the team is happier.
Yeah.
It was like that unspoken drama bubbling under the surface was now gone.
Yeah.
Everyone was lighter and they had no idea how good it would feel to lean on those core values and truly live by it.
Totally. So if you're listening, I mean, that's a critical point. You know, I was talking to one of our clients that I worked with probably 22 years ago, and he's got a new team member. He's like, she's just not fitting. She's not gelling. And he's one of those guys. He's a great guy, great client, fabulous practice. But the core value thing, yeah, I get that. But they're not anywhere. They're nowhere where you can anchor into them, because I'm telling you guys, it's like the craziest blessing you'll ever give your practice is when you put your flag in the ground. You go, look, this is how we're going to behave. And if you get older, this works. Like, you're done with the whole, I'm looking for this amazingly talented person who knows how to do everything. But you know what? They don't have to really play along with everybody. They just gotta produce big numbers. You do that enough, you start to ruin the rest of the organization, and it's not a good thing. So, yeah. And then, I have so many questions for you because I want to get inside the mind of a great coach okay, let's say I got these meetings and AB, my meetings have sucked as a dentist for years. Okay. So I don't even do them anymore because I just figure I'll do them once a month and we'll watch a video or something so help me think about this a little bit better. How do I turn the corner and make a meeting a great one? Any thoughts?
Oh gosh, so many thoughts. And, I can help you with that. I'm here for you. So you call me up and we'll walk through it. The first part is always going to be, what is our focus? And our focus can't change every single week. We're not going to hit results if we are always trying to catch a moving target. So we need to sit down as a team, go through a fun exercise, get up out of your seat, brainstorm, mind map, whatever all the young kids call it now, and figure out, hey, what's going to be impactful to our practice? How can we measure it?
Right.
We need to be able to see results.
Yeah.
So we need to have a focus with priorities, and we need to be able to measure them.
Yeah.
And we need a quick way to resolve problems when they arise. And I don't mean problems like, somebody didn't stock the hygiene drawer. I mean, why aren't we hitting our goal?
Yeah.
Why are we 4 weeks behind?
Yeah.
Let's all team together. So yeah, we have a meeting rhythm that you guys worked really hard on, the leadership team. And it is changing my clients' meetings. They absolutely love it.
Yeah.
In our old style, there was nothing wrong with it. But now the way we're tracking and there's more ownership and the priorities are focused, game changer.
And I'll speak firstly. I mean, we didn't come up with it. We're borrowing from the best, and we'll explain that in the future. It's like there's a lot of people that have already figured stuff out. Your meetings have to be the same cadence. You got to be talking about the same thing. They should know what predictable. You should know when the meeting's going well. They should know when the meeting's going well. What I used to do, and you were part of the era, like you've seen me at my best and my worst, and like you've been part of some, like I used to show up and go, you guys, I got all these ideas and all these great things, and get everybody laughing, and then they would just leave exhausted and knowing. So the whole idea that you're speaking to is we're showing up at the same time. We're talking about the things that matter. We're rowing together on the things that, and it's better. Can you speak to this? It is better to get 3 to 5 things done every 13 weeks than to try to do 92 at the same time, in the same time frame, right?
I can't speak to that enough. Yeah, absolutely. And you feel better, you feel more successful.
Yeah.
And that's a key piece in this whole process in your team meetings. When you are tracking your results and you can check things off a list and say, wow, it's making an impact. Man, I'm seeing the results.
Yeah.
There's a win. We need some wins to keep us motivated and keep us going.
Yeah. Now speak to the engagement part, because I have some team members, they volunteer for everything. You know, you've heard this from dentists. Like I have like 4 team members, and 4 of the 14 sign up for everything because they're go-getters. And then I've got 10 of the 14. A couple of them, are a little bit introverted, and they kind of take, is that good? Is that bad? How do I get them engaged? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all are, some of us are just very helpful. And then it looks like we want to take over and do everything. And that's not a bad thing, but it can be a little bit squashing to the energy of the room when other people are just a little bit less apt to just jump in and volunteer or throw a hand up. So I like to pair those people together.
Yeah.
So you can be an owner, but you can't be the owner of all the tasks.
Right.
So that I'm going to pair up my quieter voices in the room with that person so that we get more engagement, but it's maybe in a smaller group where their voice can be heard.
Yeah.
And that is the tough part. That's the one thing we always start with too is, hey, what are our minimum standards of behavior in this office?
Yeah.
We have to be engaged, and we can call each other out and say, hey, you don't talk in the meetings. Why? What's going on? How can we help you put your voice in the room more?
Yeah, and I agree with that, because some of your team members, they might not be speaking up all the time, but they have some brilliant ideas, and you've got to find a way to facilitate that way so that they can come up and share those ideas. And then it goes back to the whole thing that you said at the beginning is like getting the buy-in is critical. You know when a meeting's going well, when you as a dentist are talking probably the least. And at the end, you're like, wow, we got some stuff done. Mm-hmm. And so I used to talk the most at our team meetings. I still talk a lot. I could probably use some help with that. But like I'm trying to talk the least because when it's their idea, they're reporting on it, and we're all rowing in the same direction on 3 to 5 priorities. Now, you guys know how this works. If you're a dental office, and you're like, okay, we're going to get these 3 things done this quarter, and we're going to do them really well, and we're going to document them. You feel this collective confidence as a team. You're like, holy crap, we got this done. And people start to believe in you more. They start to believe in what we're about. They start to believe they will go home and have a glass of wine with their friends, and they will talk about the core value logo that you created, and they'll go, I work for a great dentist. She's awesome, but she's even a better human being, because I'll tell you what we're doing in our office. We're talking about core values like every single day, bringing them alive, bringing them to the forefront. You guys, and the reason we're beating this drum so hard is like everyone's looking for the secret. The hiring market, speak to this, AB, you've been a coach for a long time. Is the hiring market easy right now, or is it like the hardest you've ever seen?
The hardest I've ever seen it.
Why?
I think both employers and employees are really looking for that unicorn, and they're not settling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of options right now too.
Oh, yeah.
And the economy's still pretty strong. People can pull equity out of there. They can do a lot of different things. So they've got options now. But here's the thing, once you build the great team, I always joke that like, I want to take our best dentists and I want to walk them over. We're working with Marquette right now. I actually want to speak to like the graduating class and bring some of our best dentists in just for a half an hour. And I'm going to line them all up in line. And I'm going to go, okay, you got to tell this class one thing. Like tell them the one thing that'll make them all happy. I'm pretty sure 80% of them would walk into the room and go, hey, you only need to know one thing about dentistry. Find the greatest people out there. Put the right people in the right seats. Take good care of them. Get them all ordered, and you'll be as happy as can be. Goodbye. Good luck. None of them would say, digital dentistry. Get heavy into digital dentistry and you'll crush it. That's really cool and it's exciting, but the power of people coalescing is just, you can't trump you know, you just can't trouble. Any last thoughts that you have about this, AB? Because like favorite
we could talk all day about huddles and team meetings and why they are so crucial to the growth of a practice. You know?
Right. I want to hear one of your favorite stories. So you work with typically most of the practices we get that come our way in a coaching program, they're not broken. They're good practices. They're kind of stuck. They're stuck because they've crossed the $1 million mark or, you know, and they're not growing like they used to. Because it's really easy to get better when you suck at something and you're growing in practice. But then there's a certain point where the increments in growth don't happen. And so we typically get these people that are kind of stuck. But like when you think back to all the people you've worked with or coached, or you don't have to use names because we don't want to get in trouble here. But like, is there a favorite story on leadership, engagement, like cliques that you can remember? I actually have one. The moving boxes one dropped in. That's a good one. So I don't know. I love.
She is one of my favorite people on this planet. We still text and converse weekly.
Yeah.
She is a client. When I started working with her, you know, she felt like she had inherited a practice. She bought a practice and inherited a lot of bad habits that came with the employees.
Right.
And it was one of those practices that, you know, had originally, they would sit back and read magazines if they didn't have a patient. They would be making snacks and run to the convenience store. And she's like, well, what's going on here? Like, yeah, what? And so, you know, it got to the point where she was putting systems in place. And to this day, she says the handoff changed her practice.
Why?
Just that simple handoff, that clear communication of here is what we did today, here is what is next, and that high-level touch customer service. That patient knew they were taken care of from start to finish. She had some assistants. The two assistants were going at it every day. Like, she could hear them verbally arguing in sterilization, throwing cuss words, all kinds of things. A couple other team members just griping, you know, she called it turf wars. Mm-hmm. And so she calls me one morning. I picked up. She's like, well, just stopped at the UPS store. I'm like, UPS store? Yeah, the box store. Mm-hmm. I said, okay. She goes, I'll call you later. I thought, oh, fuck, this is going to be good. She walks into morning huddle, which people were always late for.
Yeah.
And she said, she drops the boxes in the middle of the floor. If you don't like it here, you can pack your stuff and leave. I'll write you a letter of recommendation. There'll be no hard feelings, but get to packing.
Yeah. Now, did everyone pack? Here's the question I have. Like, I often
tell how people packed.
Yeah. Wait, I tell stories and I don't tell the end of them. So I'll tell a story about one of my dogs, and then people are like, you got to tell the end of the story. Like, did everybody pack up their bag, or what did they do?
Nobody packed a bag.
What?
Everyone stared straight ahead, like, oh crap. And she said, actually, the day went really well. She didn't speak to anybody the rest of the day. She didn't talk to them. And it started turning around.
Yeah.
And she actually, and that was probably 3 years ago, until recently, she still had the same team members, but they behaved very differently.
Yeah.
Because they knew, listen, we're done with this business.
Yeah.
We're here to work. We're here to get along. And if you can't do it, you're out.
Yeah.
And they changed their tune. They knew she was serious.
Yeah. Now, so do you teach each one of your clients to stop at the UPS store?
I send them a box right when we get started.
Yeah. Now, we're not saying like you got to be mean. That's not the point.
No.
But for her, she became a great leader. That was a pivotal moment. You guys all, you know, if you're listening, you always have these pivotal moments as a dentist or a dental practice owner or a leader, or even as a parent. You draw a line in the sand. You're like, listen, I'm just done with this. I love you guys, but I hate what's going on here. I think that's an important delineation you have to make, is that you don't have to hate people. You can certainly hate behavior. It works really well with kids. Say, I love you, but I hate what's going on here. And just say, listen, I'm done. I'm just done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm serious about this. Because people can like you, but they also have to respect you. And when you draw a line in the sand and they know their circumstances, it's a whole different ballgame. And it's really cool to watch. Your biggest challenge is how do you get these people, number one, finding them, getting them work together, but it ultimately means you got to step up and be a leader. How important is leadership in coaching a great practice from your standpoint as a coach?
Ooh, I would say it's one of the hardest pieces
Why though?
Of my job. Mainly because most dentists, they just want to be liked.
Right.
They just want to be liked. And they don't want their team to be mad at them if they're too strict or if they're too direct. And so they struggle.
Right.
And we have so many things that we can help them on with that. But it is a process because without being a strong leader, they're not going to have a strong team.
Right. But AB, I'm not very dynamic. What if I'm not a great dynamic, like energetic speaker or something like that? I mean, people often discount their ability to lead before they even try. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say leadership is not how you show up in a meeting and how you are animated or how you interact. It's really just being clear, and you've said this a million times, Kirk, being clear is being kind.
Yeah.
And it's in a respectful way. It's in a kind way. But that's what people are looking to someone to give them direction and to be consistent.
Yeah.
And that's really what makes a great leader.
Absolutely. Consistency works with kids. It works with dogs. Like the more.
Oh, don't say that. I'm a terrible dog.
Oh, no, you're an excellent dog. I mean, I'm the worst dog owner ever. I mean, I love but this, the more consistent you are, people are like, wow, they know what to expect. They know how to act. They know how to behave in certain situations. This is so key. So, I mean, I have 95 more questions for you, and I know
next time.
But any last thoughts? Okay, here's one. I'm going to throw into AB. I don't need a coach. I mean, what are you going to teach me that, I haven't heard, or I listen to a lot of podcasts. I take a lot of courses. I don't need a coach. Like, why would I need a coach for my dental office? Do you have a good answer? I'm
going to help you put it into play. I'm going to help you put all of this education into action. Yeah. That's what I'm going to help you do.
Amen, sister.
That's right.
I say this, and I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but I actually think it's either negligible or ignorant. If you don't have a coach or somebody helping you with your business, that's just your ego taking over going, I got this. No, you got to work on patience. You got a family to care for. You've got to be the good person in your practice. It's not good to be the leader, be the nice person and the enforcer and the financial person. No. It's really good to have somebody just tell you the truth. And going, you're not as good as you think you are. Like I got one more story, and then we'll take a break. But like one of my favorite stories, and I won't mention their names because I love them. They're one of our highest producers. They practice somewhere in the Midwest, and they said to me at a last inner circle meeting, they're like, what's so fun is that our hygienist thought they were pretty cool. And AB came in and she basically told them in the nicest way, you're not as cool as you think you are. And they were like, oh, we think we're really cool. And it became the weirdest competitive thing. They were like trying to please her to reinforce that the fact that they were using different words than cool. But like, you have a way of like, not confronting, but like going, hey, game on, let's go. You're not as cool as you think you are. Can you speak to that story without using any names?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was an interesting. And being a hygienist, I'm not the cream of the crop, best hygienist ever, and I run into hygiene teams all the time that I think, wow,
yeah,
you're making me excited again about this. But then I run into the ones who walk around and they're like, oh yeah, we know everything. It's like, what? Where's your intraoral camera? Where's it at? Oh, it's in the closet. Oh, but you're the best. Okay. Yeah. And so I kindly like to encourage them a little friendly competition. Yeah. Like, oh, if you're the best, okay. Show me you're the best.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
It's really good to be held accountable as a team member, as a leader. Accountability requires accounting. It's good to have somebody push you. The best, never try to figure this stuff out yourself. AB, you are the best. I have 92. I love the word 92. I don't even know why. I have so many other topics I want to cover with you. And then if people want to reach out to you, they have more information. They want more information about what we do. How do they find out more of what you do, what we do? Where do we find that?
Oh, gosh. actdental.com. Adriana at actdental.com.
Yeah.
Info at actdental.com. You can get a hold of us many different ways, but just get a hold of us. Funny thing is, Kirk, that same hygiene team, one of them just sent me a text to check in a few minutes ago. I mean, we have this relationship now that they're like, hey, how's it going? Haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Serendipity in play.
Isn't that funny, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Awesome.
But we'd love to have a conversation. Yeah. Reach out.
Reach
Let's
out,
chat.
show up, hang out with us. We'd love to have you guys with us. Remember, having a great practice, makes for a better life. And that's what this is all about. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Check out the show notes. You're going to see everything that we talked about below. And then Adriana's contact information's down there. If you need any help, raise your hand. We're here to help you. Hope you guys have a great day. And until we see you next time, keep watching the Best Practices Show. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day.